Brendan Allen, the number 6 ranked middleweight in the world, looking to return in September. Now we have other news as well. It's not just this. He does not want to fight Marvin Vettori anymore. Now, I would understand if maybe the fight with Marvin Vettori got canceled and then he beat someone else like Jared Cannonier on short notice. But no, he beat number 15, Chris Curtis, by a split decision in a fight I guarantee at least 30% of people thought he lost. Maybe more, maybe 40, maybe 50, maybe even more than that. But a good amount of the UFC and MMA population as a whole thought Brendan Allen lost his last fight. And now he's looking to return on a pretty late date. It's May, June, July, August, September. In 4 months' time. And he wants to take on Sean Strickland still. Remember, he's not in the top 5 yet. Brendan Allen, he's at number 6. And Sean's about to fight number 7, Paulo Costa. Now, I'm not a fan. I'm not going to go out there and say I'm a fan of Paulo getting that shot. That's ridiculous. If anyone deserved a shot against Sean Strickland, it was Jared Cannonier. Out of all the people, it was Jared freaking Cannonier. Instead, Jared's fighting Imavov at 8 and Strickland's fighting number 7. It makes no sense. Middleweight rankings are complete bull, but I digress. Brendan Allen should have gotten that shot against Strickland, or it should have been Jared Cannonier. First, it was Jared Cannonier. Then it was Brendan Allen. Neither of them got that shot. They give it to Paulo. Now Allen wants to wait for Strickland to fight Paulo Costa in June, and then fight him again in September. They've already fought. That's the first thing. Sean Strickland knocked out Brendan Allen on his rise to becoming the UFC middleweight champion. And he's the number 1 contender. He has a win over number 2. If you're going to do Sean Strickland with anyone, you probably should have given him the rematch, or you should have given him Jared Cannonier, because Jared's the last person to beat Sean besides Dricus, but he's waiting out. Brendan Allen's waiting out for this fight with Sean Strickland that I'm very, 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 very confident it's not going to happen. There's no way. If you think of all the matchups the UFC can do with Sean Strickland, there's no way. Let's say Adesanya and Duplessis fight. One of them gets injured. Strickland beats Paulo Costa. He's probably right back into the title mix. Or Khamzat Chimaev is right back in the title mix. Either way, Sean has a big fight on his hands with either a title fight or the champion is injured. And he fights Khamzat Chimaev in the main event of a UFC fight. Or co-main event of a pay-per-view. He has so much bigger options than Brendan Allen. A Brendan Allen fight just doesn't make sense to me. It just doesn't make sense from a Sean Strickland perspective. It doesn't make sense. Now, Brendan Allen is also in a weird spot because there's a lot of guys that could potentially challenge for that UFC middleweight belt, and he's trying to fight in September. I understand that. He probably has injuries. He probably has wants to spend time with his family and with his kids, but he wants to wait out till September when there is Strickland there, who's possibly going to get a title fight after his win over Paulo Costa. There's Adesanya, who's already going to get the shot, and then there's Whitaker and Khamzat, who the winner of that one, the UFC already said is getting a shot, but you can never trust the UFC. That's 3 guys. Adesanya, then we got Strickland, then we got one of those 2 guys. There's a lot of time in there for Brendan to possibly not get a shot at the title, so he needs to fight as soon as possible to get him in that top 5 and actually build his name as a potential guy in the mix to get that title shot. Because as of right now, the 3/4 names in the mix are Adesanya, of course. He's probably going to get that next shot at 305. There's the Whitaker of Robert and Khamzat Chimaev. And then there's Sean Strickland. I know Jared Cannonier, a lot of people want to put him in that conversation. He's not really there. The UFC is not going to do Jared versus Dricus. If they're going to give Jared a fight up the rankings, they'll do the Sean rematch. But that's what I'm saying. If Jared beats Nasruddin, they'd much more rather do a Jared versus Sean Strickland fight than a Brendan Allen versus Sean Strickland fight. Even if Imavov wins, I'm sure the UFC would love to pull and do an Imavov Sean Strickland UFC Paris fight. I guarantee they'd rather that than a Brendan Allen fight. He's not going to get a Sean Strickland fight. I guarantee. I'm very, very confident in that. There's a slim world. A lot of people are injured. A lot of people already have fights booked, and the only thing you can do is Strickland versus Allen. It's not going to happen. It isn't going to happen. And he's ultimately saying no to Marvin Vettori, who is above him in the rankings. Jarrett has a fight. Whitaker has a fight. Adesanya's about to have a fight. Strickland has a fight. Paulo has a fight. Imavov has a fight. There's one man that does not have a fight. You're supposed to fight him. I know. It's not your fault that Marvin Vettori pulled out. That's what you got to do. That's what you have to do. Set it up for another UFC Fight Night main event, and the winner can start looking at maybe the loser of Adesanya Duplessis, because what are they going to do at that point? They just lost 2 in a row in Adesanya's case. They got to probably fight an up-and-comer. If Jikas loses, there's some fights there, but that would be the option. You beat Marvin Vettori, then you maybe get the loser of Adesanya and Dricus Duplessis, or maybe you get Whitaker or Hamza. Something like that. But I don't think after a win over 15 ranked Curtis that you're going to get the Sean fight now. That's kind of what I've been saying. If you took it a different way, I understand. But what I'm ultimately trying to say is, at this point in time, after the win over Curtis, no chance Brendan Allen gets that #1 contender fight against Sean Strickland. Now, if he beats Marvin Vettori in a pretty impressive fashion, I'd open up to the idea, and I'd be like, there's a good chance this actually happens. But he has to get in that top 5 first. He actually has to get a win that's not razor close against number 15 Chris Curtis, and then maybe I would actually understand a possible Sean Strickland fight, because the UFC really does want to give Hamza Chimaev to Dricus Duplessis. They really want to give him that title shot to build him as the new star of the UFC middleweight division. So I gotta understand Israel and Dricus fighting, and then ultimately Hamza getting the next shot if he is able to get past Robert. And at that point, it would actually make sense for Brendan to fight Sean. So there's so much stuff you can do in this middleweight division. The main thing was, why are you rejecting the Marvin Vettori fight? Why are you rejecting that fight? I know you want Sean. It's not going to happen unless you get another win. Because again, Jarrett has a fight booked. Sean has a fight booked. Once those two are done, if Jarrett wins, he's got a huge claim to fight Sean Strickland. Way bigger claim than Brendan Allen does. If Imavov beats Jared Cannonier, he just beat Jared. He's in that top 5. He'll probably be calling for Sean as well. As he said publicly on a few interviews, he wants Sean as well. There's so many ways Allen does not get the Sean fight, and waiting out for it is not a smart idea. Fight Marvin Vettori, get yourself into that top 5. Then you actually have a claim to possibly fight against Sean Strickland. If not, maybe the loser of Dricus Adesanya. If not, maybe the loser of Whitaker Hamza. There's so many options there, but at the moment, Sean is not one of them. Please, Brendan Allen, don't wait out. We don't want to see you fighting in December because you're still trying to wait for Strickland. It's not going to happen unless you get another win. What do y'all think about that? Middleweight division craziness. Make sure to go check that pinned comment down below to become a Burt MMA member for so many perks. Read this right here. We have so much perks we offer on the Patreon. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.